Non-alcoholic beer is what we're drinking today. You might say, Matt, that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. Aren't you the guy that likes to get drunk and cook? So you might be asking, why are you drinking non-alcoholic beer then? I wouldn't be drinking non-alcoholic beer without drinking a regular beer, would I? Today we're gonna get down to the bottom of the whole non-alcoholic beer thing. Figure out which ones are good, which ones are bad. Figure out which one is gonna be my go-to when I inevitably have to go to rehab. But that's not for another at least 10 years, so might as well figure it out now while catching a nice buzz. We're starting with the grandfather of all non-alcoholic beers, O'Doul's. This is what your grandpa, who had to stop drinking because he was beating his wife, drinks. It's the Budweiser of non-alcoholic beers, made by Anheuser-Busch. Let's give it a taste. It tastes like beer, it really does. It's beer, and if someone gave it to you, I think you would think you were starting to get drunk, but like, there is something a little wrong with it. Like, it's not quite right. Like, it's got a sweetness to it the regular beer doesn't have. I'm gonna be so bloated by the end of this. Like, I can't tell if it is just a bad beer or if it's because it's non-alcoholic. You gotta chase it down with something with some booze in it. Yeah, it looks like a piss beer. Tastes like a piss beer, looks like a piss beer, smells like a piss beer. That smells really bad. I'm not sure why it smells so bad, but it reeks. Getting notes of AA. Doesn't taste much better out of a glass. I truly just think that this beer, it's past its prime. You know, it was needed in, 1980 when, all the Vietnam veterans were having to slow down and stop drinking so much because it triggered their PTSD a little bit more, and they started to think that their neighbor that moved in was Viet Cong, even though they were from the Philippines. O'Doul's, it's fine. It's for as far as non-alcoholic beers go, you gotta respect it because it's the OG. It truly is the original. It's paved the way for all of the athletic brewing and all of the bullshit that we have now. So I get it. There we have it, O'Doul's. On the flip side to the O'Doul's, we have Athletic Brewing's Hazy IPA. It's a brand that only makes non-alcoholic beer, which seems like the lamest thing possible. This beer is the epitome of business casual, and I can't stand business casual culture. Let's give it a sip. Again, it tastes like an IPA, but IPAs taste like booze. They're high in alcohol. That's kind of the point of them. I don't get this. The only reason that I could see this is because it does have a lot of flavor. And like even when you're drinking IPAs like with alcohol in them, you're not drinking 12 of them. You have one, like you're just having a beer. You have one or two of them, and it satiates that mood. This is for the guy that's not fully sober, but is just trying to cut back and feels weird without having a drink in his hand. He's got to fit in. He can't just sit there and sip a Diet Coke while everyone has a beer. This is for the DD, the loser DD that makes everyone know that he's the DD. The guy who has to announce it, that I'm that guy. If I'm DDing, I'm like, I'm not drinking because I'm the designated driver. I do that every time, but that's why I don't like it so much. It's a mirror and I see myself. What I don't see myself in is the branding. Like I said, this beer is the epitome, I said it right this time, represents corporate America. Some startup douche who's like in a corporate meeting being like, guys, I know how we're going to revolutionize the non-alcoholic beer market. We're gonna make craft beer and make it non-alcoholic but make it cool. Like, this is just screaming a dress shirt with a Patagonia vest on top of it. And I can't get behind it. That's a real beer right there. It tastes like an IPA without the alcoholiness. They did a good job of doing that, but in my opinion, you need the alcoholiness to kind of cut through the hoppiness, the dirt taste of an IPA. So it's fine. I don't like IPAs enough to drink one of those and not get drunk off of it, but if it's your thing, I get it. Athletic Brewing, it's fine. We're moving on to the king of beers, non-alcoholic brew, Budweiser. This is what O'Doul's wants to be. I think O'Doul's got a bad rap after it was released, like it was being made fun of everywhere. It smells bad. I don't know, I don't drink Budweiser, so it just might be the smell of Budweiser, but Budweiser Zero. It tastes the exact same as O'Doul's. It's the same. That's crazy. This and this taste the exact same. I can't believe they're still making this. This is gonna hurt my belly. I'm gonna be so bloated after this. I said it in the beer bracket, which also, look, I hung that up. It's on there forever now. But I said this during the beer bracket video. It is incredibly hard to talk with conviction and take a lot of little swigs of beer. It really just makes you feel like gagging. So pour it up. Budweiser. Budweiser frogs. I like that they didn't go with the Bud Light, though, for their zero alcohol beer. I think holding true to their brand on just beer. It's just kind of spitting in the face of its consumers, which is fine. Like, if you're buying non-alcoholic Budweiser, I believe you should get spit on. Not just by the company, but by like every other, like everyday people. But that's what I like, that they kept with the original Budweiser, not just Bud Light. Cause you know, it. Like, if you're gonna do it, might as well. It is funny that they sell non-alcoholic beer in such big packages like normal beer. Cause like, Bud Light might tell you to drink responsibly in their commercials. Why are they selling it in 24 packs? And I'm not a guy that's gonna sit here and tell you that I drink 24 beers all the time. 6, good number for me. But it is still like, I'm drinking a decent amount. A half of a 12 pack on a regular. I'm gonna get a little drunk tonight, I'm gonna drink some beers. 6 is a lot. And truth be told, it's just kind of like, why are they selling non-alcoholic beer? Are people drinking 12 non-alcoholic beers? Are they? Because you would be so, you've had to fart and burp so much. Just drink 12, I would rather drink a 12 pack of Diet Coke. Something about knowing that it's non-alcoholic just makes me like want to gag. Like, you're waiting for it to hit and it just is not. This is as good as the O'Doul's, if not the same. It's just pretty fucking mid. If you're in the middle of the late. See, I'm going back and forth on non-alcoholic beer here. Because non-alcoholic beer, it serves a purpose. I understand it. I saw Wolf of Wall Street when he was like trying to be better and he was drinking non-alcoholic beers by his pool and he was like a degenerate. If you're serious about sobriety, you're not going to be drinking non-alcoholic beer. It's like being addicted to sex and then just being like, no, I'm going to go hang out with a stripper. No, you can't. It's like if you're a and Jeffrey Epstein offers you to take a trip to his private island and you're like, I'm just gonna hang out with the staff. You know, I'm gonna enjoy the beach. I'm gonna hang out with the staff and I'm not gonna dip into it. We all know it's not true. And if you're an alcoholic and you're drinking non-alcoholic beer, we know that you're not gonna last. And that's fine, you know? Maybe it teeters you into like just being like, why am I even doing this? And that's good too. But I think a non-alcoholic beer, that's why I think brands like the athletic work and some of the ones we're gonna look at later work so well, is just because they're not trying to cater to the guy who's like, I'm sober now and I love the taste of beer. They're trying to provide a different thing. Like, you know, it's like maybe you drink too much and you're just trying to cut back, and like during the week you want a beer, and that's why I don't really get Budweiser. I have one friend that drank Budweiser consistently and he would black out every time he drank. It's not a good beer, so like I don't understand buying Budweiser as a non-alcoholic option. Final opinion on that, it's fine. Again, we got NA Guinness. This one makes sense. Guinness drinkers already like to have like a full meal as their beer, and I like Guinness. I think going to a nice Irish pub and having a couple pints of Guinness is a great thing. And there's a whole like, you gotta pour it this way, you gotta wait for it to settle. And I think that makes sense for a non-alcoholic beer, because you're not just doing it to like make it feel like you're getting drunk. There's like a method to it, you know? There's a way you do it and there's a way you don't do it. And I think they like that. Like this, I'm pouring it wrong. Does it tell me how to pour it? No. Aren't you supposed to like let it settle? If you're drinking along with me to this video, f***ing like and subscribe. Let's show it to these sober dorks. There's the ball in it. Guinness, it's like coffee. It tastes like coffee. I can see why someone would be like, I'm gonna have a Guinness, but I'm not gonna have alcohol in it. Because Guinness also doesn't have that much alcohol in it. You know, it's like a light beer when it comes to like ABV. So just the idea of having one of those, you're not gonna drink 12 Guinnesses. I mean, you can. I've done it every St. Patty's Day. The idea of a Guinness is to sit there with your boys at an Irish pub and sit at the bar and just shoot the shit. And maybe you're like, I'm not really feeling getting drunk, but I still want to go through that with them. I see it. I see Guinness. This one makes the most sense to me. It didn't taste exactly like a Guinness. It tastes like if you compared to the other ones, if you would give me this and just tell me it's just a straight up Guinness, I would believe you. I wouldn't question it for a minute. If you give me the Athletic Brewing hazy IPA, I'm gonna be like, this is not right. Cause, you know, it's missing the whole alcohol content to it. Like, it's missing that kick. And Guinness doesn't have that kick. So for this, it just kind of makes sense that it just tastes like a Guinness. And, you know, it tastes like coffee a little bit. They should put caffeine in this like they did with the old Four Locos. And it should be like a morning drink. I don't hate that. This is my favorite so far. Because it just makes sense. Guinness is supposed to be enjoyed. It's not supposed to be down to get drunk. The amount of times that I've drank Guinness to just have a Guinness and I'm not planning on getting drunk far outweigh the amount of times that I've gotten drunk on Guinness. Good use of a Guinness, in my opinion, is at the end of the night, you're gonna get one more beer and you need to just sip on it. You're a little more drunk than your friends and you don't want to be the buzzkill that makes everybody go home early. So you just want one more beer to just nurse a little bit for the next like hour, half an hour until the bar closes or until your friends are ready to leave. That's when I like to order a Guinness, at the end of the night. And this is the perfect one. No alcohol, it looks like you're drinking a beer, and it's this is a good solution to that. Truthfully, I'm about this. Guinness, you did good. I've seen a lot of TikToks about, you know, people showing how to open bottles with things you shouldn't open bottles with, and truth be told, there's nothing in this world more than I enjoy than opening a beer with something that is not designed to open a beer. Don't give me a bottle opener, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll MacGyver my way into opening any bottle. In the most simple way, the lighter. This is the fun part. Bic lighters work the best. This is what I have not seen on the TikTok videos of people showing you how to open it with a lighter, is you make sure your beer is on a solid table. Make sure it's on something solid, because this is fun. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna put your thumb right underneath to the point where you have to move it down in order to fit the lighter under. And what you do is you grab it, then you shoot it up. That's the fun part. It's all about the leverage. And the more solid your table is and the more you can pop it, you can shoot these things 10 feet in the air. Pretty f***ing rad. Next up, we got Corona non-alcoholic. That's awful. That is the worst one so far. And I like Corona. Corona it's a good beer. Like it tastes good. That's frankly disgusting. Like, and I wanted to like this one. I really did. Cause I could see this one being useful. You know, it's the last day of your vacation. And it's their favorite non-craft beer. Where you go to bed, but either you gotta get on a plane or you gotta drive home in the morning and you're laying on the beach and you're like, a beer sounds nice. And you're like, I don't wanna be hungover. So you get these. I like the idea of a Corona, not like a non-alcoholic Corona for that reason in particular. But if it tastes like shit, then it sucks. It's gonna look like I'm 6 weeks pregnant after this video. I don't wanna sip it out of the glass. It tastes so bad. Oh. That's disgusting. I can't believe it. Corona, our friends to the south of us, are letting us down. I'll see Mexican guys that work like construction around me. They'll go into the gas station and get 2 Modelo Michelada tall boys. And it's like, I can tell it's their lunch break. And I just think Mexico probably doesn't really have a need for non-alcoholic beer. They're trying to appeal to the same people as the Athletic Brewing, because corporate douchebags love Corona. They love Corona, probably their favorite shitty beer. And not to say it's a shitty beer, because it's a good beer. It's just not craft beer. They're trying to sneak some of the market share of Athletic Brewing. And I was rooting for them. And as much as I don't like like big corporations, beer corporations get a pass. Like, I hate advertising, but I love beer advertising. I do. It's so fun. Oh. It tastes not like a Corona. It tastes bad off rip. It's got a weird taste at the beginning, and then it's got like a overwhelming sweetness afterwards that just does not taste right. Man, Corona, you've let me down. The fact that they can't make a non-alcoholic beer kind of makes me like them a little more, if I'm being completely honest, because that, dude, it's your last day of vacation. Get drunk, deal with it on the plane. We've all done it. We've all gotten on a plane after an all-inclusive trip to Mexico and been so hungover that you're like, I don't care if I die on this flight right now because life is not gonna get any worse. And that's what this symbolizes. Have that beer. Drink 6 of them. Drink 8 of them. You're at the beach with your friends or your family. You're allowed to get drunk. It's vacation. You got one more night. That 8 a.m. plane ride, sack it up, get an airport beer, and just live a little. And this is the antithesis of living. Corona, non-alcoholic. You're fucking trash. We're moving to the Busch NAs. This is the saddest one. Who is this for? The only people that I know religiously drink Busch are either frat guys or rednecks. My only guess for who this is for the fat redneck who has been obsessed with telling people that he can drink a 30 rack of Busch, has finally found someone to put up with his ass, and he wants to marry her, but she has a stipulation that he has to get sober. He doesn't want to give up drinking in the barn with his boys, and you know, I can't blame the guy for that. He still wants to claim that he can drink a 30 rack of Busch. Busch NA, it's for one type of guy. But if your sole personality trait is that you can drink a 30 rack of Busch and you still want to do it, I guess this is your only option. This is a 30-year-old-ish guy who loves to drink 30 beers, but he needs to get sober. And honest to God, this has been the best tasting light NA we've had so far. It tastes like nothing, and that's what Busch Light tastes like already, so it's perfect. So this one's, I'm about this one. I wasn't expecting it. These are your full strength Miller Lights, baby. My gut biome is gonna be so after this video. It's not great out of a glass. That has been the biggest problem with the light beers, the light NA beers, is that they have too much sweetness to them. My mind might have been changed on the Busch NA, just on that first sip. It's a shame that Busch is so bad, like they're so pigeonholed into a market of just guys who like Carolina squatted trucks. If you're a guy who is going to like someone's house for like a hangout, and you know you don't want to drink, and you know you're trying to cut back, but you still want to have a couple beers, this is honestly like, it tastes good. It's not bad. It's decent enough. It's fine. Out of a glass, it's terrible. Miller Lite's always good though. There it is, Busch Light NA. Got Labatt Blue, non-alcoholic. I'm a Labatt fan. It's a good beer. It's a great beer, if you will. So I got high hopes for this one. I'm struggling right now. I've ingested so many carbs for no reason. It's very sweet. It's sweet, but in a not as off-putting way as a lot of the other more light beers. Because Labatt kind of already has a bit of a sweetness to it that a lot of other light beers don't have. And I know this is a Labatt Blue Heavy, which feels like an oxymoron to have a non-alcoholic heavy. I don't know how alcoholic beers are made. I could see this. You're a beer league hockey player and you're sober, too many beers after the game with your teammates, and you know, the locker room, always a case of beer in there. And I could see, if they make this in cans, I could see you putting a couple in your bag before you go to hockey on Friday night, and when the guy walks around with the case in his hand, passing out beers after you win, comes up to you and says, here you go, and you're like, nah, I'm good. And then you pull one of these out of your bag and you drink it in the locker room with everybody else drinking it. Everybody's celebrating. You just won. You beat that one team that you hate, and everybody got roughed up, but you still won. And you get your non-alcoholic beer while everyone else is drinking their normal one. I like the idea of that. If you're sober and you play hockey and you're on a beer league team, this might be a good option for you. You're doing the same thing you used to do, but just not with alcohol anymore. And that's, I commend that. I like that for this one. That's actually not terrible. Like I said, it's sweeter. It's a lot sweeter than the other ones, but it's not sweet in a way that's like, it's sweet when it should be savory. I like that. God, I'm just a big fat Labatt eater, huh? Who would have thought? I don't know. I like the use case for it. Drink your one Labatt NA as you're getting undressed. Everybody's talking like, oh, Charles, you remember? I can't believe that guy punched you in the face, and you're like, yeah, I know, and you're laughing, everybody's having a good time, and then, you know, you're not falling off the wagon still. It's the one use, again, a lot of these, it's like, I can only see one place for it, and in the hockey locker room after a win, when everybody else is drinking a beer, and you're drinking one of these. I think that's a great use case, but again, it's just one. Oh, fuck.